Everybody shut up and action. Is Greenland a good movie? I would say it is interesting. Okay, so Greenland is essentially a movie like 2012, if you've seen that one. It's about global destruction occurring and humans trying to survive. It's that type of movie in that type of genre. I don't know if there's a genre of that and what it's called, but it should be a genre. But it's that type of movie, and it's the story of how one family is trying to figure out how to survive when they were invited to be put into a bunker for the few members of society that would be allowed to live through this destructive chaos of the world coming to an end. I mean, when the world's coming to an end, you cannot obviously take the entirety of humanity, all 8 billion people, put them in bunkers, and then when the calamity subsides, bring them out and return to normal. No, like, what's expected to happen is you send society down into the bunkers, then when you come out, you're practically restarting civilization from where we were back, like, thousands of years ago, except with the knowledge of what we have now. So essentially what you would want to do is put in a few people from every sector of every field that we have right now. Like a lot of people from architecture, a lot of people in construction, a lot of people in computer science, whatever. But most importantly would be like farmers and all the people with knowledge of the basic necessities for human survival in this world in general. And this movie, it's a really intriguing movie. Before we get into the deeper aspects of the movie, I want to talk about the movie itself, of course, because this movie is one that provokes a lot of thought from you into what humans need to survive. It's always like that survival game of, oh, you're stuck on an island. What are the 3 things you need to survive? Oh, of course, water, food, shelter. Those are 3 key things. Oh, you need clothing so you don't freeze in cold weather, burn too hot in hot weather. Though you can always go naked. But you know, no one's really. Humans have adapted to a point where being naked is seen as being obscene. But whatever. This movie is really interesting because you see, oh, if you have a disease like you have diabetes, suddenly you're not going to be eligible to be selected because there are so limited spaces. You don't want to put someone in there who could potentially die. Oh, you can't choose someone who's single because what will be their motivation to be working in the future for society? Because when you come out of the shelters, you want everyone to be working together to rebuild society, not just going off and doing their own thing like everyone does right now and chase their own dreams and whatever, live how they please. Because at that point, you want to restructure society so that humans don't go extinct. Humans have prevented themselves from going extinction with societal communications and involvement. So yeah, this movie is in that entire journey about a family trying to make sure that they would be able to survive, because not every family will, and they're going through all these hurdles. You're seeing all these people who are forced to work to save other lives but have to sacrifice themselves, and it's just a really, really beautiful and interesting movie about seeing human desperation in this act and how humans are behaving with the desire to survive while also at the same time understanding the situation and everyone's just reacting in fear. It's honestly just a really, really interesting movie, also very terrifying, because if this situation were to happen for real, what would you want to do? Would you rather follow logic, or would you rather crave your natural instinct to survive? Because as much as you would like to believe, as much as I believe, humans live on this planet for the purpose of chasing their dreams or whatever that is. Humans' actual purpose in like a logical, objective understanding, like with the very little of things in this world that is truly objective, it is easy to understand, or not easy, it is very difficult to comprehend this, that the sole purpose of our existence is to try and live in a world where we will eventually die. That is the sad truth. That is the harsh truth. Everyone finds meaning in life, but there is no true meaning, as depressing as that sounds. It's just try to live as long as you can. It's a game of Minecraft. People will try to kill you. Try to live as long as you can. Try to eat. Try to sleep. Try to eat. Try to sleep. Life is dull. And it's just interesting by how you make it, how you chase your own dreams, how you do whatever you want. That is what makes life interesting. The poetry, the music, the art, the life. That is what makes life worth living, as said by the Dead Poet Society. But the truth of the matter is the life is just truly really dull. But no need to look at it from that pessimistic sort of lens. We can have our own sort of view of it and how we will. But this movie just really puts a lot of things into perspective for you, and it's just a really interesting watch from that entire viewpoint. Wanting to go back into the deeper aspects of it again, the entire movie puts this into perspective for you, that the key members of society that need to survive will be farmers, because they are the ones with the knowledge. Like, I could say I eat food, I can make food, I grow food in my backyard, but are you the one who has the knowledge of growing food for billions of people worldwide? Are you the one who knows how to deal with growing food in a variety of different climates? Okay, like, farmers are the people who are capable of feeding society as a whole, and they will be necessities for survival in this process. So many farmers will be put into the bunkers for survival purposes with seeds, machines, whatever is necessary for potential growth in the future. You will definitely want engineers to build those machines once again. You will want construction workers to build houses, architects to design those houses in optimal fashions for the resources that we will potentially have in that post-apocalyptic sort of setting. You will want a lot of police. You will, maybe not a lot, but you will need some sort of police force that will guide the society around and make sure not everyone's going bad. Because, of course, if you don't have police force, what will stop people from just going off and doing their own thing when you need to force society together? Of course, that's breaking free will and whatever. But if you want society to grow up, I mean, it's not our responsibility to continue human evolution and human existence. But I think we do want that, because we want that. You will definitely need even numbers of men and women. You will need police forces to prevent criminal acts of like assault, whatever, that kind of stuff, making sure society functions as a whole, making sure society functions as a group. People aren't just hoarding resources for themselves and their own survival, and that society is able to function together. But of course, there's also going to be that battle of should police forces have guns and stuff, because if it's the wrong people in charge, suddenly they're abusing everyone and turning everything into a dictatorship with the weapons. Because in a post-apocalyptic world, people with weapons will be the strongest, and it's if they're good people or bad people that will decide if we turn into a society developed on restructuring and rebuilding humankind as a whole, or if it'll turn into some sort of dictatorship under some evil man's rule. Or, I don't want to use the word evil because that's subjective. In their eyes, they're doing what's right, with the strongest surviving, because that's also another truth of the world. The strongest control everything. But yeah, with democracy and whatever, we get to control who's the strongest. And yeah, that's an entire other conversation I don't want to get into right now, but it does bring out a lot of interesting conversational topics that makes up for interesting conversations about who should survive, who shouldn't, and what population numbers. Of course, governments as a whole will be forced to sacrifice their lives, because what do you think will happen if suddenly the government says, yes, the entire government will be going into these bunkers and now we will continue selecting forth all these people? Of course, the government needs to survive to ensure proper function in the future. We don't need a government to survive in the future. We just need proper society understanding and comprehension and collective group work. But our government does kind of provide sort of leadership that will enforce that, but you don't need the entire government. Maybe just the president and that's it, and maybe a few bodyguards to protect the president in case of whatever. But like, I don't know, I'm not delving too much into the politics of what government officials should survive, but if the government were in that case to force all their lives to survive, or even a majority government to go into survival, things will go chaos. So in that kind of situation, if you're working in the government, you're practically ensuring that you will be sacrificing your life, or this entire project of trying to ensure human existence will fail. And then there's also the aspect of human interactions globally and how they will ensure humans as a collective won't just sort of ensure one group survives and not another. Race will probably pop up into this conversation for some reason, even though it really shouldn't, because only reason different races exist is because of different growing up areas, I would assume. By skin color differentiates from where you grew up. Or where your ancestors grew up, and then immigrated. People of different religious backgrounds. It's essentially from where your ancestors were collectively brought up. Because once upon a time, it was all people from certain areas of the world were of certain religious groups. But yeah, it just brings up a lot of different conversational topics that does provide an interesting topic of what should happen should we be in a post-apocalyptic scenario, and that does provide really interesting food for thought and food for conversation. Hopefully we never enter that sort of state where any of this actually has to come to fruition. Please. But it does provide an interesting thought process, and it's just an interesting movie to watch from that perspective. Is it out of this world amazing hooking? No, but it is a really interesting movie to watch. It didn't terrify me as much as 2012 because I'm much more grown up now, but it was a really interesting movie to watch, and it's a little interesting to think about. I really enjoyed this movie. I think you guys will too. I give this movie a solid 80%. Check it out, and please talk to me about this because I kind of enjoyed talking about this movie. Peace. See you in the next one.